Life in the UK test. 200 must-watch questions and answers for beginners. Pass the exam on your first try. Are you new to the Life in the UK test and feeling overwhelmed? This video is the ultimate beginner-friendly guide featuring 200 must-watch Life in the UK questions and answers designed to help you pass the exam on your first try. Each question is carefully selected to cover the most important, high-frequency topics from the official Life in the UK Handbook, explained in simple, easy-to-understand language, perfect for beginners. Chapters cover the values and principles of the UK. What is the UK? A long and illustrious history. A modern, thriving society. The UK government, the law and your role. Like the video to support the channel. Comment how many you got right. Subscribe for mock tests, chapter-wise study and 2026 updates. Are you ready? Let's start. Which TWO houses formed the House of Tudor? House of Commons. House of York. House of Lancaster. House of Lords. King Richard III of the House of York was killed in the battle and Henry Tudor, the leader of the House of Lancaster, became King Henry VII. Henry then married King Richard's niece, Elizabeth of York, and united the two families. Henry was the first king of the House of Tudor. The symbol of the House of Tudor was a red rose with a white rose inside it as a sign that the houses of York and Lancaster were now allies. Who led the Scottish, in 1314, to defeat the English at the Battle of Bannockburn? Robert the Bruce. Oliver Cromwell. Robert Burns. William of Orange. Robert the Bruce. In Scotland, the English kings were less successful. In 1314 the Scottish, led by Robert the Bruce, defeated the English at the Battle of Bannockburn, and Scotland remained unconquered by the English. Where is the SCCC located? Glasgow. London. Wales. Swansea. Glasgow. There are many large venues that host music events throughout the year, such as Wembley Stadium, the O2 in Greenwich, South East London, and the Scottish Exhibition and Conference Centre, SECC, in Glasgow. Which of the following are Crown dependencies? Ireland and Malta. The Maldives and Anglesey. The Isle of Man and the Channel Islands. The Isle of Wight and Northern Ireland. The Isle of Man and the Channel Islands are Crown dependencies. Which of the following is part of the UK? Wales. Channel Islands. Canada. St. Helena. The United Kingdom consists of Wales, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. Which one is not a valid UK coin? 2 pence. 25 pence. 50 pence. 5 pence. £25 pence. The currency in the UK is the pound sterling. There are 100 pence in a pound. The denominations of currency are coins, 1 penny, 2 pence, 5 pence, 10 pence, 20 pence, 50 pence, 1 pound and 2 pounds, notes, 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 20 pounds, 50 pounds. What religion were Puritans? Protestants. Buddhists. Jews. Catholics. Puritans, a group of Protestants who advocated strict and simple religious doctrine and worship. What awards event celebrates British theatre? The Brit Awards, the Mercury Prize, the Turner Prize, the Laurence Olivier Awards. The Laurence Olivier Awards take place annually at different venues in London. There are a variety of categories, including Best Director, Best Actor and Best Actress. The awards are named after the British actor Sir Laurence Olivier, later Lord Olivier, who was best known for his roles in various Shakespeare plays. Who was the first Danish king? William, Harold, Kenneth MacAlpin. Not also, Canute. The first Danish king was Nut, also called Canute. Who appoints the members of the cabinet? The people of the UK. The Speaker. The Monarch. The Prime Minister. The Prime Minister appoints about 20 senior MPs to become ministers in charge of departments which together form the cabinet. The Blitz is associated with which event? The UK and Germany bombing French cities. The UK evacuating troops from Dunkirk. Germany bombing British cities. The UK bombing German cities. Germany bombing British cities. Despite winning the Battle of Britain, the German Air Force was able to continue bombing London and other British cities at nighttime. This was called the Blitz. What is the national flower of Northern Ireland? A thistle. A lily. A rose. A shamrock. A shamrock is the national flower of Northern Ireland. It is illegal to sell tobacco products such as cigarettes, cigars, roll-up tobacco to anyone under what age? 18, 17, 16, 21. It is illegal to sell tobacco products, for example, cigarettes, cigars, roll-up tobacco, to anyone under the age of 18. During the Middle Ages, which TWO wars were fought abroad? The War of the Roses. Battle of Hastings. 100 Years' War. Crusaders. Crusaders and 100 Years' War. During the Middle Ages, the English kings also fought a number of wars abroad. Many knights took part in the Crusades, in which European Christians fought for control of the Holy Land. English kings also fought a long war with France, called the 100 Years' War, even though it actually lasted 116 years. Which two are British overseas territories? Ireland. St. Helena. The Falkland Islands. Hawaii. St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. There are also several islands which are closely linked with the UK but are not part of it, the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. These have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. There are also several British overseas territories in other parts of the world, such as St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. They are also linked to the UK but are not a part of it. Which flag has a white cross on a blue background? Irish, Welsh, English, Scottish. Scottish flag has a white cross on a blue background because St. Andrew was the patron saint of Scotland. Who established the Church of England? Edward II, Henry VIII, Charles II, the Pope. Henry VIII. To divorce his first wife, Henry needed the approval of the Pope. When the Pope refused, Henry established the Church of England. In this new church, the king, not the Pope, would have the power to appoint bishops and order how people should worship. Which of the events is the bombing of English cities by the Germans? The Dunkirk Spirit, D-Day, the Battle of Britain, the Blitz. The Blitz was the German Air Force bombing London and other British cities at nighttime. The phrase, the Blitz spirit, is still used today to describe Britons pulling together in the face of adversity. Who led a team of scientists to develop the atomic bomb? Dylan Thomas, Sir John Lavery, Ernest Rutherford, Isaac Newton. Scientists led by Ernest Rutherford, working at Manchester and then Cambridge University, were the first to split the atom and took part in the Manhattan Project in the United States, which developed the atomic bomb. The people of the Bronze Age were accomplished glassworkers. True or false? False. The people of the Bronze Age were accomplished metalworkers. What is the responsibility that you have as a UK citizen? Keeping an allotment. Going to the library. Look after yourself and your family. Going to the cinema. Flowing from the fundamental principles are responsibilities and freedoms which are shared by all those living in the UK and which we expect all residents to respect. If you wish to be a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you should respect and obey the law, respect the rights of others, including their right to their own opinions, treat others with fairness, look after yourself and your family, look after the area in which you live and the environment. When did Queen Elizabeth II celebrate her Diamond Jubilee? In 2013. In 2011. In 2012. In 2010. In 2012. Big Ben Tower is named Elizabeth Tower in honor of Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee in 2012. Where is Sutton Hoo? Sussex, Norfolk, Suffolk, Essex. Suffolk. The burial place of one of the kings was at Sutton Hoo in modern Suffolk. This king was buried with treasure and armor, all placed in a ship which was then covered by a mound of earth. Charles Dickens, Thomas Hardy and Jane Austen are famous writers. True or false? True. They are all famous authors and writers. When King Charles I tried to impose a revised prayer book on the Presbyterian Church in Scotland, which TWO events occurred. King Charles I formed his own army without asking for help from Parliament. A Scottish army was formed and it invaded England. Parliament only gave the money to King Charles when the Scottish army invaded England. King Charles I recalled Parliament to ask it for funds to form his own army. Charles I wanted the worship of the Church of England to include more ceremony and introduced a revised prayer book. He tried to impose this prayer book on the Presbyterian Church in Scotland, and this led to serious unrest. A Scottish army was formed and Charles could not find the money he needed for his own army without the help of Parliament. In 1640, he recalled Parliament to ask it for funds. Many in Parliament were Puritans, a group of Protestants who advocated strict and simple religious doctrine and worship. They did not agree with the king's religious views and disliked his reforms of the Church of England. Parliament refused to give the king the money he asked for, even after the Scottish army invaded England. Select 2 famous athletes: John Barber, Henry Moore, Mo Farah, Sir Roger Bannister. Mo Farah and Sir Roger Bannister. Sir Roger Bannister was the first man in the world to run a mile in under 4 minutes, in 1954. Mo Farah is a British distance runner, born in Somalia. He won gold medals in the 2012 Olympics for the 5,000 and 10,000 meters and is the first Briton to win the Olympic gold medal in the 10,000 meters. The Isle of Man is a Crown dependency. True or false? True. There are several islands which are closely linked with the UK but are not part of it, the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. These have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. Magistrates and Justices of the Peace, JPs, are members of what? Police force. Ruling party. Local community. Law society. Local community. Magistrates and Justices of the Peace, JPs, are members of the local community. In England, Wales, and Scotland they usually work unpaid and do not need legal qualifications. They receive training to do the job and are supported by a legal advisor. Which countries are in Great Britain? England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Wales, Northern Ireland, Scotland. England, Scotland, Ireland. England, Wales, Scotland. Great Britain consists of 3 countries, England, Wales, and Scotland. The official name of the country is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Great Britain refers only to England, Scotland, and Wales, not to Northern Ireland. How can you contact your MP? By using social networks. By writing a letter. By sending an email. By sending a text message. By writing a letter. You can contact MPs by letter or telephone at their constituency office, or at their office in the House of Commons. People of the Iron Age sometimes defended sites. What were these sites? People still lived in roundhouses, grouped together into larger settlements, and sometimes defended sites called hill forts. A very impressive hill fort can still be seen today at Maiden Castle, in the English county of Dorset. Hill forts. People still lived in roundhouses, grouped together into larger settlements, and sometimes defended sites called hill forts. A very impressive hill fort can still be seen today at Maiden Castle, in the English county of Dorset. The Restoration refers to the re-establishment of Roman Catholicism. True or false? False. In May 1660, Parliament invited Charles II to come back from exile in the Netherlands. He was crowned King Charles II of England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. Charles II made it clear that he had no wish to go on his travels again. There was a restoration of the monarchy. The Chartists are associated with the Civil War which took place in the 17th century. True or false? False. In the 1830s and 1840s, a group called the Chartists campaigned for reform. They wanted 6 changes: for every man to have the vote, elections every year, for all regions to be equal in the electoral system, secret ballots, for any man to be able to stand as an MP, for MPs to be paid. Which 2 islands are closely linked to the UK but are not part of it? The Isle of Man, Malta. The Channel Islands, Fiji. The Isle of Man and the Channel Islands are Crown dependencies. Where are the minor criminal cases dealt with in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland? High Court, Crown Court, Justice of the Peace Court, Magistrates' Court. Magistrates' Court. In England, Wales, and Northern Ireland, most minor criminal cases are dealt with in a magistrates' court. In Scotland, minor criminal offences go to a Justice of the Peace Court. How old was the Queen of Scotland, Mary Stuart, when her father died and she became Queen? 1 year. 7 years. 1 week. 1 month. One week. The Queen of Scotland, Mary Stuart, often now called Mary, Queen of Scots, was a Catholic. She was only a week old when her father died and she became Queen. Which of these are Crown dependencies? Ireland and the Channel Islands. The Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. St. Helena and Wales. St. Helena and Falkland Islands. The Channel Islands and the Isle of Man are closely related to the UK but are not part of it. They have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. What do you have to pay tax on in the UK? Pensions. All kind of benefits. Buying goods from supermarkets. The personal allowance. Pensions. People in the UK have to pay tax on their income, which includes wages from paid employment, profits from self-employment, taxable benefits, pensions, income from property, savings, and dividends. In Elizabeth I's time, English settlers began to colonize which part of the world? Australia, India, eastern coast of America, Central Africa. Eastern coast of America. In Elizabeth I's time, English settlers first began to colonize the eastern coast of America. The Elizabethan period is also remembered for the richness of its poetry and drama, especially the plays and poems of William Shakespeare. Which TWO of these are English Civil War battles? Agincourt, Bannockburn, Marston Moor, Naseby. During the Civil War, the King's army was defeated at the battles of Marston Moor and Naseby. By 1646, it was clear that Parliament had won the war. Charles was held prisoner by the Parliamentary Army. He was still unwilling to reach any agreement with Parliament, and in 1649 he was executed. Forced marriages are an offence in the UK. True or false? True. Forced marriage is where one or both parties do not or cannot give their consent to enter into the partnership. Forcing another person to marry is a criminal offence. In year 1066, William the Conqueror invaded England in which battle? Battle of Britain, Battle of Hastings, Battle of Agincourt, Battle of Culloden. Battle of Hastings. In 1066, an invasion led by William, the Duke of Normandy, in what is now northern France, defeated Harold, the Saxon King of England, at the Battle of Hastings. Harold was killed in the battle. William became King of England and is known as William the Conqueror. The battle is commemorated in a great piece of embroidery, known as the Bayeux Tapestry, which can still be seen in France today. What is not a fundamental principle of British life? Treating others with fairness. Looking after yourself and family. Driving a car. Looking after environment. Driving a car is not one of the fundamental principles of British life. What is the capital of England? Belfast, Cardiff, Edinburgh, London. London is the capital city of England and the United Kingdom. The people of which age made the first coins to be minted in Britain? Bronze Age, Stone Age, Gold Age, Iron Age. Iron Age. The people of the Iron Age had a sophisticated culture and economy. They made the first coins to be minted in Britain, some inscribed with the names of Iron Age kings. This marks the beginnings of British history. You can contact MPs only at their office in the House of Commons. True or false? False. You can contact MPs by letter or telephone at their constituency office, or at their office in the House of Commons. Which TWO of these were introduced before the First World War in 1914? Free school meals, state retirement pension, National Health Service, child benefit payments. Financial help for the unemployed, old age pensions and free school meals were just a few of the important measures introduced. What do you need to apply for UK citizenship? Speak and read English. Have a driving license. Have a university degree. Be able to use computers in English. To apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you will need to speak and read English, have a good understanding of life in the UK. What is an example of a criminal offence? Selling tobacco to under 18s. Housing disputes. Owing money. Discrimination into the workplace. Selling tobacco to under 18s. Examples of criminal laws are carrying a weapon, selling or buying drugs, racial crime, selling tobacco to under 18s, smoking, drinking in public in inappropriate places, buying alcohol for under 18s. Why is 1969 a very important year in British history? Women were given the right to vote at the age of 18. Women were given the right to vote. Women were given the right to vote at the age of 30. Women were given the right to vote at the age of 21, same as men. In 1969, the voting age was reduced to 18 for men and women. As part of the citizenship ceremony, new citizens pledge their loyalty to the United Kingdom and to respect its rights and freedoms. True or false? True. Long live our noble king, is the second sentence of the national anthem of the UK. EEC was set up in 1957 by 6 countries. True or false? True. The European Union, EU, originally called the European Economic Community, EEC, was set up by 6 Western European countries, Belgium, France, Germany, Italy, Luxembourg and the Netherlands, who signed the Treaty of Rome on the 25th of March 1957. The UK originally decided not to join this group, but it became a member in 1973. After the Brexit vote to leave in 2020, there are now 27 EU member states. What should you do when you move into a new house or apartment? Warn the people who live near you not to talk to you. Tell the people who live near you not to make noise. Introduce yourself to the people who live near you so they can help you. Do nothing. Introduce yourself to the people who live near you so they can help you. When you move into a new house or apartment, introduce yourself to the people who live near you. Getting to know your neighbors can help you to become part of the community and make friends. What is the responsibility that you have as a UK citizen? Going to the library. Keeping an allotment. Look after yourself and your family. Going to the cinema. Look after yourself and your family. Flowing from the fundamental principles are responsibilities and freedoms which are shared by all those living in the UK and which we expect all residents to respect. If you wish to be a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you should respect and obey the law, respect the rights of others, including their right to their own opinions, treat others with fairness, look after yourself and your family, look after the area in which you live and the environment. Which battle did William the Conqueror fight in? The Battle of Hastings. The Battle of Agincourt. The Battle of Bannockburn. The Battle of Bosworth Field. In 1066, an invasion led by William, the Duke of Normandy, in what is now northern France, defeated Harold, the Saxon King of England, at the Battle of Hastings. Harold was killed in the battle. William became King of England and is known as William the Conqueror. The battle is commemorated in a great piece of embroidery, known as the Bayeux Tapestry, which can still be seen in France today. Why was Mary known as Bloody Mary? She persecuted Protestants. She put her sister in prison. She killed her father. She fought in numerous battles. Mary was a devout Catholic and persecuted Protestants. Who is the heir to the throne? Prince Henry, Prince George, Prince Philip, Prince William. Prince William. The king's eldest son, Prince William, the Prince of Wales, is the heir to the throne. Which two are not part of the UK? The Isle of Man, Wales, Northern Ireland, the Channel Islands. The UK is made up of England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland. Who led the invasion of England in 1066? King Alfred the Great, Harold the Saxon King, William the Duke of Normandy, Julius Caesar. William the Duke of Normandy. In 1066, an invasion led by William, the Duke of Normandy, in what is now northern France, defeated Harold, the Saxon King of England, at the Battle of Hastings. Harold was killed in the battle. William became King of England and is known as William the Conqueror. The battle is commemorated in a great piece of embroidery, known as the Bayeux Tapestry, which can still be seen in France today. Everything found in Hansard is available online. True or false? True. Proceedings in Parliament are broadcast on television and published in official reports called Hansard. Written reports can be found in large libraries and online. What are two responsibilities of members of Parliament, MPs? Represent only those who voted for them. They represent everyone in their constituency. Appoint the Prime Minister, PM. Scrutinize and comment on what the government is doing. They represent everyone in their constituency and scrutinize and comment on what the government is doing. MPs have a number of different responsibilities. They represent everyone in their constituency, help to create new laws, scrutinize and comment on what the government is doing, debate important national issues. If you wish to be a permanent resident of the UK, you should look after yourself. In return, you are guaranteed a job. True or false? False. You are not guaranteed a job if you settle in the UK. Robert Stephenson and George were famous pioneers of which industry? Automobile, canal building, railway engines, agricultural. Railway engine. Just before Victoria came to the throne, The father and son George and Robert Stephenson pioneered the railway engine, and a major expansion of the railways took place in the Victorian period. Railways were built throughout the empire. Protestant Christian groups include Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterians, and Quakers. True or false? True. Protestant Christian groups in the UK are Baptists, Methodists, Presbyterians, and Quakers. There are also other denominations of Christianity, the biggest of which is Roman Catholic. What is the national anthem of the UK? King reign over the UK. God save the UK. United we stand. God save the King. Queen. God Save the King, Queen. The national anthem of the UK is God Save the King, Queen. It is played at important national occasions and at events attended by the King, Queen or the royal family. The first verse is, God save our gracious King. Long live our noble King. God save the King. Send him victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us, God save the King. NATO aims to maintain peace between all of its members. True or false? True. NATO is a group of European and North American countries that have agreed to help each other if they come under attack. It also aims to maintain peace between all of its members. Who wrote the Canterbury Tales? Geoffrey Chaucer, John Barber, William Walton, William Caxton. In the years leading up to 1400, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote a series of poems in English about a group of people going to Canterbury on a pilgrimage. Which two did the Romans establish in Britain? Introduced new plants and animals. Created a structure of law. Introduced constitutional monarchy. Introduced basic democracy. Introduced new plants and animals and created a structure of law. The Romans remained in Britain for 400 years. They built roads and public buildings, created a structure of law, and introduced new plants and animals. English laws and the English language were introduced in Wales by the middle of which century? 13th century, 17th century, 15th century, 11th century. 15th century. By the middle of the 15th century, the last Welsh rebellions had been defeated. English laws and the English language were introduced. There is no place in British society for extremism or intolerance. True or false? The statement is true. Can the devolved administrations control sectors such as immigration, foreign affairs, and taxation? Yes. No. Only in Scotland. Only if the local people support them. No. Since 1997, some powers have been devolved from the central government to give people in Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland more control over matters that directly affect them. Policy and laws governing defence, foreign affairs, immigration, taxation, and social security all remain under central UK government control. However, many other public services, such as education, are controlled by the devolved administrations. When was the first public film shown in the UK? In 1904. In 1899. In 1902. In 1896. In 1896. Films were first shown publicly in the UK in 1896 and film screenings very quickly became popular. From the beginning, filmmakers became famous for clever special effects, and this continues to be an area of British expertise. The band called Beatles was popular and some alteration to social laws occurred during which period? In 1980s. In 1950s. In 1970s. In 1960s. The decade of the 1960s was a period of significant social change. It was known as the swinging 60s. There was growth in British fashion, cinema, and popular music. Two well-known pop music groups at the time were the Beatles and the Rolling Stones. It was also a time when social laws were liberalised, for example in relation to divorce and to abortion in England, Wales, and Scotland. The position of women in the workplace also improved. Great Britain and the United Kingdom have the same meaning. True or false? False. The official name of the country is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Great Britain refers only to England, Scotland, and Wales, not to Northern Ireland. For which two subjects are the Secretaries of State responsible? Defence, economy, policing, education. Defence and education. Secretaries of State are responsible for subjects such as education, health, and defence. Julius Caesar led a Roman invasion of Britain in 55 BC, but this was unsuccessful. For how many years did Britain remain separate from the Roman Empire? 300, 200, 400, 100. 100 years. Julius Caesar led a Roman invasion of Britain in 55 BC. This was unsuccessful, and for nearly 100 years Britain remained separate from the Roman Empire. In AD 43 the Emperor Claudius led the Roman army in a new invasion. This time, there was resistance from some of the British tribes, but the Romans were successful in occupying almost all of Britain. What does Eid al-Fitr celebrate? The founding of the Muslim community. That the Prophet Ibrahim was willing to sacrifice his son when God ordered him to. The end of Ramadan. The struggle for religious freedom. Eid al-Fitr celebrates the end of Ramadan, when Muslims have fasted for a month. They thank Allah for giving them the strength to complete the fast. The date when it takes place changes every year. Muslims attend special services and meals. The Commonwealth is made up of countries which were once part of the British Empire only. True or false? False. The Commonwealth is an association of countries that support each other and work together towards shared goals in democracy and development. Most member states were once part of the British Empire, although a few countries which were not have also joined. What is the fundamental principle of British life? The rule of law. Taking part in festivals. Supporting your local team. Attending a church on Sundays. The rule of law is one of the fundamental principles of British life. Many people volunteer simply because they want to help other people. True or false? True. Volunteering and helping your community are an important part of being a good citizen. They enable you to integrate and get to know other people. It helps to make your community a better place if residents support each other. What is Sir Isaac Newton's famous published work? Discovery of the God particle. Relativistic theory of light. Quantum photon properties. Mathematical principles of natural philosophy. His most famous published work was Philosophiae Naturalis Principia Mathematica, Mathematical Principles of Natural Philosophy, which showed how gravity applied to the whole universe. Newton also discovered that white light is made up of the colors of the rainbow. During Queen Elizabeth I's reign, the English, 1588, defeated a large fleet of ships. Where did the ships come from? Spain. Spain and France. Netherlands. France. Spain. Elizabeth became one of the most popular monarchs in English history, particularly after 1588, when the English defeated the Spanish Armada, a large fleet of ships, which had been sent by Spain to conquer England and restore Catholicism. The UK government has used the power to suspend the Northern Ireland Assembly. True or false? True. Since 1997, some powers have been devolved from the central government to give people in Wales, Scotland, and Northern Ireland more control over matters that directly affect them. There has been a Welsh Assembly and a Scottish Parliament since 1999. There is also a Northern Ireland Assembly, although this has been suspended on a few occasions. Adult citizens of the UK, and citizens of the Commonwealth and the Irish Republic who are resident in the UK, can vote in all public elections. True or false? True. Adult citizens of the UK, and citizens of the Commonwealth and the Irish Republic who are resident in the UK, can vote in all public elections. A 2-minute silence is observed on Easter to commemorate the death of Jesus Christ. True or false? False. Remembrance Day, the 11th of November, commemorates those who died fighting for the UK and its allies. Originally it commemorated the dead of the First World War, which ended on the 11th of November 1918. People wear poppies, the red flower found on the battlefields of the First World War. At 11:00 a.m. there is a 2-minute silence and wreaths are laid at the Cenotaph in Whitehall, London. Which of the following is a fundamental principle of British life? Terrorism. Dictatorship. Democracy. Communism. Democracy. The fundamental principles of British life include democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, participation in community life. During the Bronze Age, people lived in roundhouses and buried their dead in tombs called round barrows. True or false? The statement is true. Saint Augustine led missionaries from Rome, who spread Christianity in the south. Who did he become? The first Viking invader. The first King of England. The first Prime Minister. The first Archbishop of Canterbury. Saint Augustine led missionaries from Rome, who spread Christianity in the south. Saint Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury. See the Archbishop of Canterbury and the Church in Britain today. The Reform Act of 1832 took away the automatic right of hereditary peers to attend the House of Lords. True or false? False. Since 1999, hereditary peers have lost the automatic right to attend the House of Lords. The Reform Act of 1832 had greatly increased the number of people with the right to vote. The Act also abolished the old pocket and rotten boroughs, and more parliamentary seats were given to the towns and cities. What is the name given to the conflict between those wishing for full Irish independence and those wishing to remain loyal to the UK government? The Great Depression. The clearances. The troubles. The problems. The troubles. The conflict between those wishing for full Irish independence and those wishing to remain loyal to the British government is often referred to as the Troubles. Where is the UK geographically located with respect to Europe? Northeast. Northwest. Southeast. Southwest. The UK is located in the northwest of Europe. How many national parks are there in England, Wales, and Scotland? 25. 5. 8. 15. There are 15 national parks in England, Wales, and Scotland. They are areas of protected countryside that everyone can visit, and where people live, work and look after the landscape. Nowadays, the House of Commons has more power than the House of Lords. True or false? True. The House of Commons has powers to overrule the House of Lords, but these are not used often. What does the UK offer to its residents? Freedom of belief and religion. Luxurious life. Free TV license. Untaxed income. In return, the UK offers freedom of belief and religion, freedom of speech, freedom from unfair discrimination, a right to a fair trial, a right to join in the election of a government. What is the percentage of Sikh living in the UK? 13%. 9%. 1%. 5%. 1%. In the 2021 England and Wales census, around 525,000, 0.9%, people from the sampled population of 60 million identified as Sikh. 46% of people identified themselves as Christian. Much smaller proportions identified themselves as Muslim, 6.5%, Hindu, 2%, Sikh, 1%, Jewish or Buddhist, both around 0.5%. 0.5% of people followed another religion and 37% stated not to follow any religion. Which two are compulsory in the UK if you own an old car? Mortgage. Life insurance. Car insurance. A valid MOT test certificate. Car insurance and a valid MOT test certificate. It is an offence not to have an MOT certificate if your vehicle is more than 3 years old or without car insurance. Who appoints life peers? The Prime Minister. The Shadow Cabinet. The Speaker. The Monarch. The Monarch. Life peers are appointed by the monarch on the advice of the Prime Minister. How can you help looking after the environment? Studying your area. Not smoking in public. Going shopping carefully. Recycling your waste. Recycling your waste. It is important to recycle as much of your waste as you can. Using recycled materials to make new products uses less energy and means that we do not need to extract more raw materials from the earth. It also means that less rubbish is created, so the amount being put into landfill is reduced. The Anglo-Saxons established Christianity when they invaded Britain. True or false? False. The Anglo-Saxons were not Christians when they first came to Britain, but, during this period, missionaries came to Britain to preach about Christianity. Who mapped the coast of Australia? Sir Francis George. Sir Francis Drake. Admiral Nelson. James Cook. Captain James Cook mapped the coast of Australia and a few colonies were established there. Britain gained control over Canada, and the East India Company, originally set up to trade, gained control of large parts of India. Those who don't respect the law should not expect to be allowed to become permanent residents. True or false? True. If you don't respect the law, you should not expect to be allowed to settle in the UK. Who designed the new St. Paul Cathedral? Isaac Newton. Isambard Kingdom Brunel. Samuel Pepys. Sir Christopher Wren. Sir Christopher Wren designed a new St. Paul Cathedral after the previous one was destroyed by a great fire in 1666. What is the official name of the country? The UK and Ireland. The United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Great Britain. United Kingdom. The official name of the country is the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. Great Britain refers only to England, Scotland, and Wales, not to Northern Ireland. What did Sir Frank Whittle invent in the 1930s? Telephone. Jet engine. Computer. Ballpoint pen. The jet engine was developed in Britain in the 1930s by Sir Frank Whittle, 1907–96, a British Royal Air Force engineer officer. What is the system that automatically deducts tax called? Payee. HMRC. Self-assessment. Payee. Payee. This system that deducts tax automatically is called pay-as-you-earn, also known as payee. Which of these is correct? Any man who forces a woman to have sex, including her husband, can be charged with rape. Or, any man who forces a woman to have sex, excluding her husband, can be charged with rape. Rape in a romantic relationship and marriage is considered marital rape. This includes forced sex and sexual assault between spouses. It is an offence. A very impressive hill fort can still be seen today at Maiden Castle. What English county does it stand in? East Lothian. Dorset. Cornwall. Danebury. Dorset. A very impressive hill fort can still be seen today at Maiden Castle, in the English county of Dorset. Why was the Habeas Corpus Act, 1679, so important? It limited the power of the monarch. It gave women their property right. It guaranteed that no one could be held prisoner unlawfully. It gave women the right to vote. The Habeas Corpus Act became law in 1679. This was a very important piece of legislation which remains relevant today. Habeas corpus is Latin for "you must present the person in court." The act guaranteed that no one could be held prisoner unlawfully. Every prisoner has a right to a court hearing. Who directed the two British films Brief Encounter and Lawrence of Arabia? Alfred Hitchcock. Hugh Hudson. David Lean. William Walton. David Lean. Brief Encounter, 1945, and Lawrence of Arabia, 1962, were directed by David Lean. Which monarch entered the House of Commons to arrest 5 parliamentary leaders? James I. James II. Charles I. Oliver Cromwell. Germany bombing British cities. Despite winning the Battle of Britain, the German Air Force was able to continue bombing London and other British cities at nighttime. This was called the Blitz. You must treat everyone equally, regardless of sex, race, age, religion, disability, class, or sexual orientation. True or false? The statement is true. Eid al-Fitr and Eid ul-Adha are festivals celebrated by which religion? Christianity, Buddhism, Sikhism, Islam. Islam. Eid al-Fitr celebrates the end of Ramadan, when Muslims have fasted for a month. They thank Allah for giving them the strength to complete the fast. The date when it takes place changes every year. Muslims attend special services and meals. Eid al-Adha remembers that the Prophet Ibrahim was willing to sacrifice his son when God ordered him to. It reminds Muslims of their own commitment to God. Many Muslims sacrifice an animal to eat during this festival. In Britain this has to be done in a slaughterhouse. The Channel Islands are self-governing. True or false? True. There are also several islands which are closely linked with the UK but are not part of it, the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. These have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. What language did the Iron Age people speak? Anglo-Saxon, Celtic, English, Viking. Celtic. Their language was part of the Celtic language family. The Council of Europe has no power to make laws. True or false? True. The Council of Europe is separate from the EU. It has 47 member countries, including the UK, and is responsible for the protection and promotion of human rights in those countries. It has no power to make laws but draws up conventions and charters, the most well-known of which is the European Convention on Human Rights and Fundamental Freedoms, usually called the European Convention on Human Rights. Which two of these countries are currently in the EU? UK, Poland, Russia, France. Poland and France. Following a referendum held in the UK on the 23rd of June 2016, the UK left the EU on the 31st of January 2020. France or Poland are still part of the EU. The Boer War of 1899 to 1902 established the idea that the British Empire is a force for good. True or false? False. The Boer War of 1899 to 1902 made the discussions about the future of the empire more urgent. The British went to war in South Africa with settlers from the Netherlands called the Boers. The Boers fought fiercely and the war went on for over 3 years. Many died in the fighting and many more from disease. There was some public sympathy for the Boers and people began to question whether the empire could continue. What is your responsibility as UK citizen? Select 2 answers. To go to your local pub. To help and protect your family. To vote in local and national government elections. To earn money. Although Britain is one of the world's most diverse societies, there is a set of shared values and responsibilities that everyone can agree with. These values and responsibilities include to obey and respect the law, to be aware of the rights of others and respect those rights, to treat others with fairness, to behave responsibly, to help and protect your family, to respect and preserve the environment, to treat everyone equally, regardless of sex, race, religion, age, disability, class or sexual orientation, to work to provide for yourself and your family, to help others, to vote in local and national government elections. On Valentine's Day, people exchange gifts and cards and send anonymous cards to people they secretly admire. True or false? It's true. Valentine's Day, the 14th of February, is when lovers exchange cards and gifts. Sometimes people send anonymous cards to someone they secretly admire. How can you visit the Welsh Assembly? By queuing at the public entrance all day. Using the booking service. By contacting the education service. Through visitor services. Using the booking service. The Senedd is an open building. You can book guided tours or seats in the public galleries for the Welsh Assembly. To make a booking, contact the Assembly booking service. When did the first farmers start settling in Britain? 10,000 years ago. 4,000 years ago. 6,000 years ago. 8,500 years ago. The first farmers arrived in Britain about 6,000 years ago. The ancestors of these first farmers probably came from Southeast Europe. These people built houses, tombs, and monuments on the land. What is the money limit for the small claims procedure in England and Wales? £5,000, £6,000, £4,000, £10,000. £10,000. The small claims procedure is used for claims of less than £10,000 in England and Wales. When did the BBC begin the world's first regular TV service? In 1936. In 1922. In 1921. In 1938. In 1936. The BBC started radio broadcasts in 1922 and began the world's first regular television service in 1936. Which two are associated with rugby? Wimbledon. The Six Nations Championship. The Super League. The Premier League. The Six Nations Championship and the Super League. The most famous rugby union competition is the Six Nations Championship between England, Ireland, Scotland, Wales, France, and Italy. The Super League is the most well-known rugby league, club, competition. Which stories are associated with Geoffrey Chaucer? The East End Tales. The Canterbury Tales. The London Tales. The West End Tales. The Canterbury Tales. In the years leading up to 1400, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote a series of poems in English about a group of people going to Canterbury on a pilgrimage. The people decided to tell each other stories on the journey, and the poems describe the travelers and some of the stories they told. This collection of poems is called the Canterbury Tales. How many members does a jury have in Scotland? 21. 12. 15. 18. A jury is made up of members of the public chosen at random from the local electoral register. See the electoral register. In England, Wales, and Northern Ireland a jury has 12 members, and in Scotland a jury has 15 members. The Domesday Book gives a picture of society in England just after the Norman Conquest. True or false? True. William the Conqueror, the Duke of Normandy, sent people all over England to draw up lists of all the towns and villages. The people who lived there, who owned the land and what animals they owned were also listed. This was called the Domesday Book. It still exists today and gives a picture of society in England just after the Norman conquest. Which two of these are core values and responsibilities of the British society? Not to behave responsibly. To vote in local and national government elections. To work to provide for yourself and your family. Always share the same views as your partner. Although Britain is one of the world's most diverse societies, there is a set of shared values and responsibilities that everyone can agree with. These values and responsibilities include, to obey and respect the law, to be aware of the rights of others and respect those rights, to treat others with fairness, to behave responsibly, to help and protect your family, to respect and preserve the environment, to treat everyone equally, regardless of sex, race, religion, age, disability, class, or sexual orientation, to work to provide for yourself and your family, to help others, to vote in local and national government elections. Which comedy double act by Nick Park won many Oscars? Thelma and Louise. Laurel and Hardy. Wallace and Gromit. Gavin and Stacey. Wallace and Gromit. Nick Park, who has won 4 Oscars for his animated films, including 3 for films featuring Wallace and Gromit. NSPCC is a charity for which of the following? Environment. Animals. Old people. Children. Children. The National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children, NSPCC, the Homeless, Crisis and Shelter, Medical Research Charities, Cancer Research UK, Environmental Charities, the National Trust and Friends of the Earth, Animals, People's Dispensary for Sick Animals, PDSA. You should respect someone's right in court. In return, you are offered the right to a fair trial. True. Or false? True. You should always respect everyone's rights in court. Vice versa, everyone should respect your rights. Radar was developed by Scotsman Sir Robert Watson Watt. True. Or false? True. Radar was developed by Scotsman Sir Robert Watson Watt, who proposed that enemy aircraft could be detected by radio waves. The first successful radar test took place in 1935. Which of these is a Crown dependency of the UK and not a part of it? St Helena. Wales. Channel Islands. Falkland Islands. Channel Islands. There are also several islands which are closely linked with the UK but are not part of it, the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. These have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. There are also several British overseas territories in other parts of the world, such as St Helena and the Falkland Islands. They are also linked to the UK but are not a part of it. Which novel is the satirical novelist Evelyn Waugh best known for? Lord of the Rings. The Harry Potter series. Romeo and Juliet. Brideshead Revisited. Evelyn Waugh wrote satirical novels, including Decline and Fall and Scoop. He is perhaps best known for Brideshead Revisited. How often are the general elections held? Every 7 years. Every 3 years. Every year. Every 5 years. Every 5 years. MPs are elected at a general election, which is held at least every 5 years. Wales wasn't under Anglo-Saxon rule. True or false? True. Parts of the west of Britain, including much of what is now Wales, and Scotland, remained free of Anglo-Saxon rule. Which of the following is not a fundamental principle of British life? Tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs. The rule of law. Autocracy. Democracy. Autocracy. The fundamental principles of British life include tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, the rule of law, democracy, individual liberty and participation in community life. What kind of event is the Wimbledon Championship? Cricket. Water sport. Rugby. Tennis. Tennis evolved in England in the late 19th century. The first tennis club was founded in Leamington Spa in 1872. The most famous tournament hosted in Britain is the Wimbledon Championships, which takes place each year at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. It is the oldest tennis tournament in the world and the only Grand Slam event played on grass. In youth courts, the name or photographs of the accused young person can be published in newspapers or used by the media. True or false? False. Members of the public are not allowed in youth courts, and the name or photographs of the accused young person cannot be published in newspapers or used by the media. How often do the ministers meet to discuss important issues? Daily. Monthly. Yearly. Weekly. Weekly. Ministers form the Cabinet, a committee which usually meets weekly and makes important decisions about government policy. Many of these decisions have to be debated or approved by Parliament. What is a traditional pub game? Poker. Pool. Chess. Roulette. Pool. Pub quizzes are popular. Pool and darts are traditional pub games. Who was Catherine of Aragon, the first of Henry VIII's 6 wives? Dutch princess. Swedish princess. French princess. Spanish princess. Catherine was a Spanish princess. She and Henry had a number of children but only one, Mary, survived. When Catherine was too old to give him another child, Henry decided to divorce her, hoping that another wife would give him a son to be his heir. Who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo? Henry VII. Louis XIV. Nelson. The Duke of Wellington. The Duke of Wellington. In 1815, the French wars ended with the defeat of the Emperor Napoleon by the Duke of Wellington at the Battle of Waterloo. What do you need to apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK? Choose two options. A British driving licence. To be able to speak and read English. A British university degree. A good understanding of life in the UK. The UK offers to its residents or citizens freedom of belief and religion, freedom of speech, freedom from unfair discrimination, a right to a fair trial and a right to join in the election of a government. Which process for the mass production of steel led to the development of the shipbuilding industry and the railways? Bessemer process. Decarburization. Durr process. Flow-in process. The development of the Bessemer process for the mass production of steel led to the development of the shipbuilding industry and the railways. Manufacturing jobs became the main source of employment in Britain. Where is the UK geographically located with respect to Europe? Northeast. Northwest. Southeast. Southwest. The UK is located in the northwest of Europe. How many member states does the Commonwealth have? 56. 27. 190. 5. "56. The monarch, King Charles III, is the ceremonial head of the Commonwealth, which currently has 56 member states. Where can you find crown jewels? Queen's House in Greenwich. The National Museum. The Buckingham Palace. The Tower of London. The Tower of London was first built by William the Conqueror after he became king in 1066. Tours are given by the yeoman warders, also known as beefeaters, who tell visitors about the building's history. People can also see the crown jewels there. Which of the following is a fundamental principle of British life? Inequality. Intolerance. Extremism. Individual liberty. Individual liberty. The fundamental principles of British life include democracy, the rule of law, individual liberty, tolerance of those with different faiths and beliefs, participation in community life. Where are the more serious civil cases dealt with in Scotland? Peace courts. High Court. Court of Session in Edinburgh. Sheriff Court. Court of Session in Edinburgh. More serious civil cases, for example, when a large amount of compensation is being claimed, are dealt with in the High Court in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland. In Scotland, they are dealt with in the Court of Session in Edinburgh. In which country was Charles II residing before he was invited to England by the Parliament? Germany. Netherlands. France. Ireland. Netherlands. In May 1660, Parliament invited Charles II to come back from exile in the Netherlands. He was crowned King Charles II of England, Wales, Scotland, and Ireland. Which of these are British overseas territories? USA and Australia. St. Helena and Falkland Islands. The Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. St. Helena and the Isle of Man. There are also several British overseas territories in other parts of the world, such as St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. They are also linked to the UK but are not a part of it. In which two countries were PCCs elected in? Wales, England, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Wales and England. In November 2012, the public elected Police and Crime Commissioners, PCCs, in England and Wales. These are directly elected individuals who are responsible for the delivery of an efficient and effective police force that reflects the needs of their local communities. PCCs set local police priorities and the local policing budget. They also appoint the Chief Constable. Who mapped the coast of Australia? Sheikh Deen Mahomet, James Cook, Admiral Nelson, Sir Francis Drake. Captain James Cook mapped the coast of Australia. Which two will you be agreeing with when applying to become a permanent resident? To remain in the UK forever. To respect the law, values and traditions of the UK. To accept the responsibilities which come with a settlement. To support the coalition government. You should accept all responsibilities that come with permanent residency and fundamental principles of British life. In which year was there a major outbreak of plague in London? In 1465. In 1565. In 1665. In 1765. During Charles II's reign, in 1665, there was a major outbreak of plague in London. Thousands of people died, especially in poorer areas. The following year, a great fire destroyed much of the city, including many churches and St. Paul's Cathedral. How many Olympic gold medals has the Scottish cyclist, Sir Chris Hoy, won? 2, 5, 6, 7. Sir Chris Hoy is a Scottish cyclist who has won 6 gold and 1 silver Olympic medals. He has also won 11 World Championship titles. Which of the following is part of the UK? Channel Islands, St. Helena, Wales, Canada. The United Kingdom consists of Wales, England, Scotland, and Northern Ireland. When were women given the right to vote at the age of 18? In 1969. In 1918. In 1928. In 1959. In 1969. By 1918, the voting franchise was extended to women over 30, and then in 1928 to men and women over 21. In 1969, the voting age was reduced to 18 for men and women. On what day does Lent begin? Shrove Tuesday, Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, Pancake Day. Shrove Tuesday. The 40 days before Easter are known as Lent. It is a time when Christians take time to reflect and prepare for Easter. Traditionally, people would fast during this period, and today many people will give something up, like a favorite food. The day before Lent starts is called Shrove Tuesday, or Pancake Day. Lent begins on Ash Wednesday. What does the UK offer to its permanent residents or citizens? A right to judge others. A right to join in the election of a government. Free access to all national museums. A discount in taxes. A right to join in the election of a government. What is the name of the building where the Northern Irish Assembly meets? Senedd. Holyrood. Stormont. Westminster. Stormont. In Northern Ireland, elected members, known as MLAs, meet in the Northern Ireland Assembly at Stormont, in Belfast. Falkland Islands are a Crown dependency. True or false? False. There are also several islands which are closely linked with the UK but are not part of it, the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. These have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. There are also several British overseas territories in other parts of the world, such as St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. They are also linked to the UK but are not a part of it. Which of these countries did not fight on the side of the Allied powers during the First World War? Italy. Bulgaria. Serbia. USA. Bulgaria. The Allies fought against the Central Powers, mainly Germany, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, the Ottoman Empire and later Bulgaria. Where can you get details about the small claims procedure? Your local county court. Your local polling station. High Court. Any council office. Your local county court. You can get details about the small claims procedure from your local county court or sheriff court. Which two of the following responsibilities will you have as a permanent resident or citizen of the UK? To respect and obey the law. To go to church on Sundays. To look after the area in which you live and the environment. To do the military service. If you wish to be a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you should respect and obey the law, respect the rights of others, including their right to their own opinions, treat others with fairness, look after yourself and your family and look after the area in which you live and the environment. How many senior MPs get appointed by the Prime Minister to become ministers in charge of departments? 20. 40. 5. 50. The Prime Minister appoints about 20 senior MPs to become ministers in charge of departments. These include Chancellor of the Exchequer, responsible for the economy, Home Secretary, responsible for crime, policing and immigration, Foreign Secretary, responsible for managing relationships with foreign countries. Other ministers, called Secretaries of State, are responsible for subjects such as education, health and defense. How many member states does the UN have? 15. 5. 27. 190. 190. The UK is part of the United Nations, UN, an international organization with more than 190 countries as members. One TV license covers all of the equipment at one address, but people who rent different rooms in a shared house must buy a separate TV license. True or false? True. One TV license covers all of the equipment at one address, but people who rent different rooms in a shared house must buy a separate TV license. What helped the progress of the Industrial Revolution? New economics ideas. Human nature ideas. New political ideas. Steam power. Steam power. Scientific discoveries, such as James Watt's work on steam power, helped the progress of the Industrial Revolution. Which of the following statements is true? To apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you will need to have a university degree. To apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you will need to have a good understanding of life in the UK. To apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you will need to have British relatives. To apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you will need to have knowledge of the British laws. To apply to become a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you will need to have a good understanding of life in the UK and be able to speak and read English. Which two of the following islands are known as Crown dependencies? Ceylon, the Isle of Man, the Channel Islands, Ireland. There are also several islands which are closely linked with the UK but are not part of it, the Channel Islands and the Isle of Man. These have their own governments and are called Crown dependencies. The Prime Minister is the head of the Commonwealth. True or false? False. The monarch, King Charles III, is the ceremonial head of the Commonwealth, which currently has 56 member states. Which of the following flowers represents England? Daffodil, rose, shamrock, thistle. Rose. The national flower of England is the rose. What is the Grand National? Golf, cricket, football, horse racing. Famous horse racing events include Royal Ascot, a 5-day race meeting in Berkshire attended by members of the royal family, the Grand National at Aintree near Liverpool, and the Scottish Grand National at Ayr. What was the system of land ownership used by the Normans known as? The Magna Carta. Democracy. Noble land. Feudalism. Feudalism. The Normans used a system of land ownership known as feudalism. The king gave land to his lords in return for help in war. Landowners had to send certain numbers of men to serve in the army. Some peasants had their own land but most were serfs. Throughout the 1990s, Britain played a leading role in coalition forces involved in the liberation of Kuwait. True or false? True. Throughout the 1990s, Britain played a leading role in coalition forces involved in the liberation of Kuwait, following the Iraqi invasion in 1990, and the conflict in the former Republic of Yugoslavia. Since 2000, British armed forces have been engaged in the global fight against international terrorism and against the proliferation of weapons of mass destruction, including operations in Afghanistan and Iraq. First professional football clubs were formed in the late 19th century. True or false? It's true. The first professional football clubs were formed in the late 19th century. George Frederick wrote which oratorio, which is sung regularly by choirs, often at Easter time? The Origin, Elijah, Messiah, The Light of the Moon. Messiah. The German-born composer George Frederick Handel spent many years in the UK and became a British citizen in 1727. He wrote the water music for King George I and music for the royal fireworks for his son, George II. Both these pieces continue to be very popular. Handel also wrote an oratorio, Messiah, which is sung regularly by choirs, often at Easter time. What is the most famous competition, which is a series of test matches played between England and Australia? The Ashes, the Wimbledon Championship, the Open Championship, Formula 1. The Ashes. Cricket originated in England and is now played in many countries. Games can last up to 5 days but still result in a draw. The idiosyncratic nature of the game and its complex laws are said to reflect the best of the British character and sense of fair play. You may come across expressions such as rain-stopped play, batting on a sticky wicket, playing a straight bat, bowled a googly, or it's just not cricket, which have passed into everyday usage. The most famous competition is the Ashes, which is a series of test matches played between England and Australia. Participation in community life is a fundamental principle of British life. True or false? True. The fundamental principles of British life include participation in community life. St. Helena is a British overseas territory. True or false? True. British overseas territories in other parts of the world include St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. They are also linked to the UK but are not part of it. How long does it take to give blood? 10 minutes. 2 hours. 20 minutes. 1 hour. One hour. Donated blood is used by hospitals to help people with a wide range of injuries and illnesses. It takes about an hour to do so. Who was the first Archbishop of Canterbury? St. George, St. Augustine, St. Patrick, St. Columba. St. Augustine. Missionaries from Ireland spread the religion in the north. The most famous of these was St. Patrick, who would become the patron saint of Ireland, and St. Columba, who founded a monastery on the island of Iona, off the coast of what is now Scotland. St. Augustine led missionaries from Rome, who spread Christianity in the south. St. Augustine became the first Archbishop of Canterbury. Christmas Day, which celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ, is on which day? The 31st of December. The 26th of December. The 25th of December. The 1st of January. Christmas Day, the 25th of December, celebrates the birth of Jesus Christ. It is a public holiday. Many Christians go to church on Christmas Eve, the 24th of December, or on Christmas Day itself. What did the first farmers build in Britain? Houses and monuments. Tombs and stadiums. Theatres and houses. Hospitals and roads. Houses and monuments. The first farmers built houses, tombs, and monuments on the land. To look after yourself and your family is one of the responsibilities that you will have as a permanent resident or citizen of the UK. True or false? This statement is true. How often are the European Parliament elections held? 5, 4, 3, 1. Every 5 years. Elections for the European Parliament are also held every 5 years. Elected members are called members of the European Parliament, MEPs. Elections to the European Parliament use a system of proportional representation, where seats are allocated to each party in proportion to the total number of votes it has won. What do many theatres produce at Christmas time? Tragedy play. Pantomime. Huge display. New Year's celebration. Pantomime. One British tradition is the pantomime. Many theatres produce a pantomime at Christmas time. They are based on fairy stories and are light-hearted plays with music and comedy, enjoyed by family audiences. One of the traditional characters is the Dame, a woman played by a man. There is often also a pantomime horse or cow played by 2 actors in the same costume. What is the country house owned by the Prime Minister called? Chalet. Dormitory. Checkers. Cottage. Checkers. The official home of the Prime Minister is 10 Downing Street, in central London, near the Houses of Parliament. He or she also has a country house outside London called Checkers. Which TWO are facts about King William II of Scotland? He was William of Orange before he became King William III of England, Wales and Ireland. He was the Protestant rule of the Netherlands before he became King William II of Scotland. He was defeated by King James II of England when the latter tried to take back the crown. He was married to the young daughter of King James II of England, Wales and Ireland. James II's elder daughter, Mary, was married to her cousin William of Orange, the Protestant ruler of the Netherlands. In 1688, important Protestants in England asked William to invade England and proclaim himself king. When William reached England, there was no resistance. James fled to France and William took over the throne, becoming William III in England, Wales and Ireland, and William II of Scotland. In which of the following languages is the Life in the UK test not available? English, Scottish Gaelic, French, Welsh. The Life in the UK test is usually taken as English, although special arrangements can be made if you wish to take it in Welsh or Scottish Gaelic. Which of the following territories does not belong to Great Britain? Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, England. Great Britain refers only to England, Scotland and Wales, not to Northern Ireland. Who is the heir to the throne? Queen Elizabeth II husband, Prince Harry, Prince William, King Charles III. Prince William. Queen Elizabeth II reigned since her father's death in 1952. She celebrated her Diamond Jubilee, i.e. 60 years as Queen, until she passed away in 2022. She was married to Prince Philip, the Duke of Edinburgh. Her eldest son, King Charles III, previously known as the Prince of Wales, became the sovereign monarch in 2022. His eldest son, heir to the throne, Prince William, is the new Prince of Wales. Who is Sir Edward Elgar? A politician, an actor, a musician, a doctor. A musician. Sir Edward Elgar was born in Worcester, England. His best-known work is probably the Pomp and Circumstance marches. March No. 1, Land of Hope and Glory, is usually played at the last night of the proms at the Royal Albert Hall. Which one of the following is the most famous play written by Shakespeare? Under Milk Wood, A Midsummer Night's Dream, The Jungle Book, The Canterbury Tales. A Midsummer Night's Dream. Shakespeare was born in Stratford-upon-Avon, England. He was a playwright and actor and wrote many poems and plays. His most famous plays include A Midsummer Night's Dream, Hamlet, Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet. Which of the following lines does not form part of the Citizenship Pledge? I will give my loyalty to the United Kingdom. I will uphold its democratic values. Long live our noble king. I will observe its laws faithfully. As part of the citizenship ceremony, new citizens pledge to uphold these values. The pledge is: I will give my loyalty to the United Kingdom and respect its rights and freedoms. I will uphold its democratic values. I will observe its laws faithfully and fulfill my duties and obligations as a British citizen. Easter eggs are often given as presents at Easter as a symbol of new life. True or false? True. Easter is also celebrated by people who are not religious. Easter eggs are chocolate eggs often given as presents at Easter as a symbol of new life. You need to buy a TV license if there are no TVs in your house but you watch TV programs on your mobile phone. True or false? true. You must pay for a license to watch TV through any medium. Which TWO of these are associated with Sir Francis Drake? Building the Titanic. The Spanish Armada invasion. Invasion of Ireland. Sailing around the world. Sir Francis Drake, one of the commanders in the defeat of the Spanish Armada, was one of the founders of England's naval tradition. His ship, the Golden Hind, was one of the first to sail right around, circumnavigate, the world. What type of literature are the Canterbury Tales written by Geoffrey Chaucer? Novels. Poems. Sonnets. Plays. Poems. In the years leading up to 1400, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote a series of poems in English about a group of people going to Canterbury on a pilgrimage. The people decided to tell each other stories on the journey, and the poems describe the travelers and some of the stories they told. This collection of poems is called the Canterbury Tales. It was one of the first books to be printed by William Caxton, the first person in England to print books using a printing press. Many of the stories are still popular. Some have been made into plays and television programs. What did the Romans introduce to Britain? Christianity. New machinery. New food and cloth. New plants and animals. New plants and animals. The Romans remained in Britain for 400 years. They built roads and public buildings, created a structure of law, and introduced new plants and animals. Which of the following are British overseas territories? Ireland. The Canary Islands. St. Helena. The Falkland Islands. There are several British overseas territories in other parts of the world, such as St. Helena and the Falkland Islands. They are also linked to the UK but are not part of it. Which court deals with the most serious cases in Scotland? Sheriff Court. High Court. Justice of the Peace Court. Crown Court. High Court. The most serious cases in Scotland, such as murder, are heard at a High Court with a judge and jury. Which TWO developments are associated with the swinging 60s? Divorce law reform. Children's rights law reform. Establishment of the NHS. Abortion law reform. The swinging 60s was also a time when social laws were liberalised, for example in relation to divorce and to abortion in England, Wales, and Scotland. The position of women in the workplace also improved. It was quite common at the time for employers to ask women to leave their jobs when they got married, but Parliament passed new laws giving women the right to equal pay and made it illegal for employers to discriminate against women because of their gender. Select 2 popular social networking websites. Twitter. Facebook. Email. Telephone. Twitter and Facebook. Social networking websites such as Facebook and Twitter are a popular way for people to stay in touch with friends, organize social events, and share photos, videos, and opinions. Many people use social networking on their mobile phones when out and about. Discrimination in the workplace is a criminal offense. True or false? False. An example of civil laws are disputes over wages and cases of unfair dismissal or discrimination in the workplace. Where does the UK government sit? Stormont, Westminster, Holyrood, Senedd. The UK is governed by the Parliament sitting in Westminster. By law, radio and television coverage of the political parties must be loyal, or ethical, or balanced, or classified. So equal time has to be given to rival viewpoints. Balanced. By law, radio and television coverage of the political parties must be balanced, so equal time has to be given to rival viewpoints. When did the English settlers first begin to colonize the eastern coast of America? In Elizabeth I's time? In May I's time? In Diana's time? In William I's time? In Elizabeth I's time, English settlers first began to colonize the eastern coast of America. This colonization, particularly by people who disagreed with the religious views of the next two kings, greatly increased in the next century. What is the responsibility that you have as a UK citizen? Keeping an allotment. Going to the library. Look after yourself and your family. Going to the cinema. Flowing from the fundamental principles are responsibilities and freedoms which are shared by all those living in the UK and which we expect all residents to respect. If you wish to be a permanent resident or citizen of the UK, you should respect and obey the law, respect the rights of others, including their right to their own opinions, treat others with fairness, look after yourself and your family, look after the area in which you live and the environment. How many American colonies declared their independence in 1776? 13. 5. 7. 17. In 1776, 13 American colonies declared their independence, stating that people had a right to establish their own governments. The colonists eventually defeated the British Army and Britain recognized the colony's independence in 1783. How many member states does the Commonwealth have? 77. 56. 48. 28. (56) The Queen or King is the ceremonial head of the Commonwealth, which currently has 56 member states. Membership is voluntary. How did your practice test go? Remember, you'll need 75% to pass the real exam, and if you stayed till the end, that's already a huge achievement. Give this video a thumbs up, share your results below, and subscribe for more test prep and chapter guides. Keep it up, every step brings you closer to British citizenship. Stay inspired, keep learning, and see you in the next video.